looks like they have switched. They have switched now. They're going to be moving to a mail-in ballot system. So SGM is actually going to change now. It's not going to be an in-person system or an in-person meeting anymore. It's going to be a virtual meeting at this point. And it looks like the UCP board president basically put out a letter saying that to all members and registrants for the special general meeting, that the board has made the decision to make this switch because thousands were requesting to do so, to make it easier for grassroots members, to sort of eliminate the need for paying that registration fee, eliminate the need for people to travel and have to be in person in Red Deer, because membership has grown. Actually, it's more than doubled heading up to this SGM. They have 15,000 registered to participate in the leadership review and vote. And so by the sounds of it, it was just going to be easier. And that's the basis behind the decision to switch to this mail-in ballot.
So I saw something then, as you said, with the registration fees, I saw it's been breaking so fast, it was hard to confirm, but they were going to offer to refund the $99 that everybody else had paid already to date for registration to get on to the review.
Well, I would have to assume by seeing some of the statements that I'm seeing that will be the case, especially considering sort of the verbiage around this decision is to eliminate people having to pay that registration fee. So my guess is that anyone who has paid it is going to be refunded. I don't have that specific statement in front of me, but with the wording of the reasoning behind this, that would make sense that is what the plan to do is, especially considering the meeting is now not going to be held in the form that it was going to be, with people traveling and needing to reserve that space. And I was understanding that, and that was the explanation for the registration fee, was to handle some of the hard costs. So I think moving this to an online SGM, and then of course moving it to a mail-in ballot system, that would likely do away with the majority of those hard costs.
Yeah, well, and as I was saying just before when the show started, I've dealt with a mail-in ballot sort of a system before for a leadership race, and there's going to be a massive amount of hard costs coming with that anyways. The logistics of it are huge, especially with only now a couple of weeks to pull it off. Is there been any discussion of changing the timeline then?
I haven't seen anything yet. Oh, wait a minute. Looks like they have updated the current membership deadline to, no, let's see here. Sorry, no, I don't have information to answer that quite yet. One of the things I will mention, though, is that quite a few members were insistent and in fact demanding that it remain this in-person gathering to do the vote and hold the vote. So it sounds like the UCP board has sort of ignored many of those requests and demands by members to do this. So they've decided to go to this voting system, so that it says here, so that all current members can participate. They don't have to do the travel. And, it also says here that they are going to hire a national auditing firm that's going to be brought in and retained to oversee the mail-in vote. So I don't know anything about that firm or whether that's going to be an issue for many of these members. Like you said, it is still sort of this ongoing information coming in.
All right. Well, thank you for the update as this breaks and unfolds, because it's really, this is a big deal. And I don't think enough people quite realize what's going on. Debacle is the best word I can give it. And I just, wow, this is something else.
Well, and I think too, when I was reading some of the information on the website for the special general meeting, they were talking about how it looked like, constituency members were going to be overseeing the counting of ballots, members, presidents of the members associations and whatnot. So now it being sort of handed off again to this this separate auditing firm, again, I think is going to raise concern for the people that really wanted to oversee and have an invested interest in participating in that process of counting the votes. So we'll see how they maybe look to line up that auditing firm and allow for others to participate and oversee. So we'll have to obviously have some updates coming once we get more information.
Great. Well, thanks for the updates, Melanie, and I know you'll keep on it, and we'll post anything new on the Western Standard online, of course, as soon as it comes up.
You bet.
All right, I'll see you after the show. So yeah, this is still breaking, unfolding questions. I mean, you can tell it's scrambled. Like, this is a government, this is a party, I should say. It's not even so much the government. That's in complete disarray. They are in disarray. This release came out suddenly this morning. We'd been waiting on results from this board meeting for 2 days already. It's not terribly detailed. There's a lot of questions in the air about it. And let's not beat around the bush. The bottom line is they're trying to save Kenney's ass. I mean, I've been trying to be somewhat balanced with this thing. And I've been trying to get pro-Kenney MPs to come on, or MLAs, I should say. And I've had difficulty getting them to come on the show because I want to show some things. But there's no other reason for this manipulation and pissing around. Ironically, originally, when the constituency associations who were demanding this review, the ones who signed on, I believe it was 23 or 24 of them, they wanted to have some sort of mail-in so everybody could participate. And it was through the wrangling of the party executive on behalf of the premier that they said, no, we're going to hold it at a special meeting in Red Deer where people have to pay a big fee and go in person. Because they figured, the reason they did that was because they figured that will keep the numbers low enough that we can manage to make sure we can stack a good enough turnout and win this thing decisively. They didn't count on 15,000 people registering. No, absolutely not. But now, to turn around and change it at this point to a mail-in system is a recipe for catastrophe. As I said earlier, hey, they raised $1.5 million then. That means they got $1.5 million in the bank from those registrations. You can book hotels all over the province to get people to come out and vote in person. Because I can understand, yeah, you can't get 15,000 people in and out of a Red Deer location in 6 hours, not in a hotel like that. But you've got the money now and the resources and the time to set it up in a number of places so those members who registered can come out and cast their ballot in those multiple locations. The problem they have is that they know, they do internals, governments poll, parties poll. They've checked, and they know that if it's those 15,000, Kenney's going to lose. They've got to change the numbers. They've got to bring a new pool of available voters to be able to come in and vote in this race. And by doing that, by getting anybody who now just has a $10 membership able to vote, totally changes the entire dynamic on who is going to come out and vote in this race. Now, the cutoff, I saw Don mentioning that earlier. I believe the cutoff is still going to be the same membership cutoff that it was. So like last weekend at the end of the week. So you won't be able to spend $10 next week or even today and vote in this thing. You already have to have a membership. But who knows? They're changing the rules as they go at this point. So it wouldn't shock me if they changed that there. But this is a real problem. As Melanie was saying, there's going to be an independent firm auditing it. When I was talking before, when we did this with the Wild Rose Party, with the leadership race, we used Myers Norris Penny, I believe. Because you get an outside firm, and they were very diligent. Some people say we don't, we'd have to audit them as well. With these large firms, they have a reputation to protect. They will make sure it's okay. As Melanie was talking about too, the old system would have had scrutineers there in person to watch the vote counting, and you'll still have to. And I don't know how they're going to do this in 2 weeks. I don't. The logistics, when we did it with, as I said, I think it was 13,000 votes, and it was bins and bins and bins of sealed envelopes that were coming in that we had to keep in a secure location. They all had to have individual numbering on, of course, each ballot so we could track and make sure. And we still had issues. One of the campaigns had bought a bunch of memberships on behalf of other people and were trying to vote on their behalf and things like that. Because when you have mail-in, you can't assure the person on the other end of that envelope really is the person who's supposed to vote. It's difficult to say the least. and nobody trusts anybody. It's not like you can demand identification. Look what happened in the leadership race when they went through all that crap before too with the UCP. This is a mess. This is a real mess, and it's only going to get worse. So now, not only are we looking at 15,000 people were ready to commit $100 to vote into this thing. I don't know how many members the party has with that $10 a head rate now, but you've got a much larger number now. So what are we going to look at? 20,000 ballots getting mailed in? And nobody's going to trust it. Let's face it, nobody is going to trust it. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If Kenney comes in with 90% support, people won't believe it. If he comes in with 51% support, he better bloody resign, because the party is going to rip in half. And I think it's going to anyway now. If Kenney maintains the leadership of this party, the UCP, after this mess, there's going to be a mass floor crossing. There's my big prediction right now. I'm not going to try and make predictions on what number it's going to be, whether it's going to be 55% or 51% or 80%. What I am going to say is a number of MLAs are going to leave that party. They are going to cross the floor. They are going to say, we cannot take part in this any longer. And you know what? You only need 4 members to be sitting in that legislature, and you have a registered party. And we will now have, again, as we saw some years ago, 2 conservative parties with sizable caucuses sitting within the legislature. And guess what happened the last time that happened? We got 4 years of Notley, Premier Notley, for our troubles. This political game playing at the expense of Albertans has to stop. It sounds like Melanie might have another update, or just came in for a message there, just to say, confirm the members are going to get a refund, or they can opt to make their registration fee a donation. Okay, thanks for that update, Melanie. And so yes, you got to think of the logistics of that, because I think especially the people who put the $100 in to be delegates in this thing don't want to donate to the party right now. They aren't bloody happy, so they're going to be asking for a refund, and that's a whole other nightmare for the party to deal with now. Think of the accounting. You got to find the money in. You've got to get it back to people. Was it online transfers? Was it checks? Was it credit cards? What a friggin' mess. And again, it's you want transparency? You can see right through what they're doing. They're trying to save Kenney's hide. You know, I'm just tired of the political game playing. I mean, this is why I'm actually as grumpy as I am, and I'm triggered all the time and everything. I'm happy at the Western Standard because I can write on these things. I can look into these things. I can discuss these things. I'm an opinion person. I can put my opinion out on it. I'm not inside the parties anymore, and I don't want to be. I can't stand. I mean, most of the people in political parties, I'll say, with decades of experience and working within them, are good, principled people. They really are trying to make things better. They want to. That's their goal. But there's always a pack of weasels within them. Always. And there's always, they feel that every rule needs to be bent, and they feel that it doesn't matter. Winning is everything. Principle doesn't matter. Public support doesn't matter. Just as long as you win at all costs. And we're seeing that kind of play going on right now. We're seeing it with a stacked party executive. We're seeing it with a review that was forced like pulling teeth, and they still managed to make their own rules to benefit their own butts with the review. And when it looked like the review was going to turn against them, they changed the bloody rules. This stinks, and it's an embarrassment. It really is. You know, I was so optimistic when Jason Kenney came in. I was supportive, and I was happy to see the merger of the UCP, you know, or the creation of the UCP. I was terrified of 4 more years in Notley, and I had enjoyed, I thought Kenney was a fantastic member of parliament. I thought his organization was incredible as he brought those parties together, and all the way up until they won the election. You know, it wasn't, I was pretty supportive of and happy until about a year after they got in and realized that nothing's getting done. You know, realizing that the Fair Deal panel was a bait and switch plan, and realizing that regional MLAs really weren't taken seriously because you had a strong central core of leadership that wasn't listening to them. And all we'd ended up with was a government less bad than the NDP, but it wasn't a good one. And my optimism was fading. And now I'm watching these shenanigans going on, these death throes of a small group of people with a lot of control trying to maintain power in a party. And I'm sorry, I do not see how this party is going to stay together after this review unless the leader is gone. I just don't see it. Maybe I've been wrong before. I can be proven wrong, but this is just a travesty. You can't change the rules on something like this close. I mean, we're not talking months in advance, guys. This is just a couple weeks away. It's desperation. I don't know if this will save them. I mean, one of Premier Kenney's stronger areas, and again, it was because of his good, hard work. As an immigration minister, he was very popular with new Canadian communities. He did great outreach. He was on the ground with them. He spoke to their concerns. And that means he's got very strong support in high immigration communities such as Northeast Calgary and areas like that. And I know some of the talk was that they want to even set up a balloting center to allow people up there to vote. And you knew that was just, of course, them wanting to make sure to have it as convenient as possible for the more likely Kenney supporters to get out and vote. Now, though, with mail-in ballots, boy, who are they going to be reaching out to? How are they going to be targeting it? How do we believe every person who's mailing in that ballot really is the right person on the other end of the ballot? I've talked about this before, too, when people talk about having like online voting and all these different ways. Mail in, again, I'm very sour on, just having endured it once with the Wild Rose Party leadership in the past. You can't beat on an important election, whether it's a general election, whether it's a leadership vote or a review like this. You can't beat making a person come in person, show a piece of identification, and cast a paper ballot, which would be a record of how they voted. Old-fashioned, but it's the way it works best. It's foolproof. You have scrutineers. You count those ballots. It takes a while. That's the way it goes. It can be a bit expensive, but that's the safest way. Online voting, absolutely not. There's just no way to trust that crap anymore. There is not. We know bloody well there's not. And mail-in ballots, even if, and again, I trust these auditors. I trust the count. I think the count will be fine. But boy, you better watch those boxes and make sure none disappear or anything like that. We'll see how they set all that up. But they can't tell who was on the other end of that letter. And again, how are you going to get those ballots in? This is 2 weeks away. Have you guys even got time to print these and get them out to the members who qualify to vote? So you've got to get all these ballots out to people, and they've got to get them all back in by April 9th? Right. That isn't going to happen. And I think also, though, maybe they're hoping they'll catch people flat-footed who were organizing on the side to try and replace the premier. I can't help but show that I'm very, very concerned and upset with this. I think that's pretty clear at this point.